Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'm your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Ian Hink.
Hi.
Hi, you're just a panelist now.
I know, it's weird.
You're on the same team though, so it's all good. Panelist Michael Huber.
Yeah.
Hello.
My technical specialist and co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Hi, technical specialist. I don't know about
Technical
Yes.
specialist?
Yeah, Ian's just a panelist now. You have to handle all of the technical duties on this podcast.
I'm not handling any technical duties.
I didn't make that clear?
At this moment.
All right.
How's it?
I'm recording my own audio. That's it.
See, Ian's clearly having technical issues right now. He's not...
Well, it
It's
was
not working
better
out
when
for
I
him
told it
anymore.
not to be optimized for green screen.
Dude, your
It was
eyes
weird.
just looked demonic right there. That was freaky for like a good 4 seconds, Ian. They were
It
just
is
like
October, everybody.
demonic white.
We'll get there. We have to, bets is at the end of the podcast. Distinguished guests, we are here to talk about some of the biggest headlines in the world of video games. But before we do that, we must atone for all of the mistakes that we made last week. Daniel Bloodworth, please begin corrections music.
This hurts.
Yeah, this feels weird.
According to French newspaper Liberation, Michel Ancel was toxic and difficult to work for. I totally gave that guy the benefit of the doubt. I want to try to keep doing that, but I was several hours short of, a lot of stories coming out from Liberation and others saying that he was a pill, this guy. He was not fun. And I was like, he just wants to hang out with animals. Now, hopefully he treats his animals better than he treats some of his employees from the story that I'm hearing. Not gonna dig too deep on that, but there's more reading to do. Charlie Wood, this is a direct quote from Charlie Wood on YouTube because I was not sure how to test this specifically. The only other correction from last week's podcast: Xbox 360 and Xbox One games won't have to be ported back and forth when using external HDD storage. They'll run from that storage directly to system architecture. What will have to be ported back and forth are Series XS games stored on HDD. 360, Xbone, Series XS will all run directly from internal storage from the Seagate expanded SSD storage, whichever spot you happen to have those games stored. If you're running your Xbone and 360 games from the internal SSD or the expanded Seagate storage, you can have the enhanced versions of those games. If you're running Xbone and 360 games from external HDD, however, they will not have optimized features. You'll be running the vanilla versions of those games on your Series XS. And corrections music.
The last part of
Yeah,
that is the
what?
only part that caught me off guard.
Man,
So
what?
basically,
That's Charlie Wood for you.
the backwards compatibility and the storage solutions is what they're talking about, right? So if you have just like a standard external hard drive that you could buy right now and use on your PlayStation or Xbox that you have right now, you can play backwards compatible games on the Xbox Series X without transferring them into your internal storage. But any Series X games you need to have in the fast hard drive that they built
Got it.
specifically for.
Okay, got it.
And then there's other weird details with the backwards compatibility.
Got it.
That we won't be getting into, and corrections music. Got to do
Well,
it,
he got
Blake.
into them,
Wrap
but
it
I'm
up.
not going
You
to
gotta
repeat
end
Wrap
it,
up the music,
Blood. You
bro.
gotta-
You got to wrap it up, too. Music's
Eric.
still going, Blake. Good.
Oh.
Oh, there it is.
Oh my god.
To each their own, man.
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
Let him have his style. He's not sure what that style is yet, but let him have it.
He'll find it.
Before we get into gaming news, I want to have a little bit of a silver lining on this week's podcast. There's a lot of things going on in this world that we wish were not happening, but something that I'm definitely stoked is happening. Z-Karts on our Patreon got an offer to be a gameplay programmer. After a long search of rarely even getting a reply at all, I just let my current colleagues know I will be leaving at the end of October to pursue my dreams. It's an exciting big step that will have me immigrate and move to the UK, but it's a big chance where I can learn a ton.
Awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like, I'm proud of us. 4 years ago, we all banded together to make this company and to start a new thing, but none of us really went anywhere. I hear about these people working for some, a new game developer, some big company, working for Nintendo, working for Disney or something, and like making a big move. It's a big step. And awesome to you for getting into gaming. It's always good to hear people that they're like, I see what's going on. I see the climate. I see how insane this business is. I want in. Get out there and make some cool stuff, Z-Karts. Thank you for that. I don't want to talk about next gen. I would try to avoid next gen as much as we can in this podcast. It was a slow news week, and such a weird news week that I'm actually happy to have four headlines that I'm sure will be a factor. One is
Wait,
about
why don't you want to talk
a
about next gen?
Because dude, we talk about it every week, man. And like, yeah, just
been 7
Xbox
years,
run times
dude.
are good, but do we
It's
have to
like
talk
once
about
a
it
decade.
every single week? Can I hold your interest for the rest of this podcast without talking about next gen specifically? We will see.
Me, probably.
Well, CD Projekt Red, you know him, you love him, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Witcher 3 Wild
know
Hunt,
him.
Cyberpunk 2077. Apparently, they've just ordered a 6-day work weeks to finish Cyberpunk 2077. These are mandatory leading up to the November release of the game. So everyone's going to be coming in for 6 days out of the week, which will add up to about 6 extra days. Almost a full week. The reason why this is a story, the reason why we are talking about it right now, beyond Cyberpunk obviously being a massive game, is CD Projekt Red specifically said they were not going to do this, and then they have done it. They have said that they recognize that it's bad, but we have to be talking about the crunch. If the biggest people potentially accused of crunch are crunching and saying they're crunching, and the crunch is on.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking a lot about this, particularly that day when the news was announced, because I just have a lot of complex thoughts on the situation, and so like, give me a minute while I try to get all of them out. But yeah, one of the things I think here, I think in a way that like people are right to sort of hold them accountable to this, because like you said, they said, hey, we want to do better. We want to be known for treating our employees right. We want to, go about this a different way. And they specifically said, if it's not happening, then call us out. So if you're calling them out, do it respectfully, but they said to do that. And then similarly, now I'm forgetting the names that I knew like all week. The head of the studio, I think it's Adam. Adam Badowski, yeah. He said that I will take all the blowback for this. Like, this is on me. So he's not trying to, I think that's the thing to me that stands out, is he's not trying to say that, hey, this is just the way things is. He's saying, I screwed up and I don't have another way out of this. And so I think that's where like my empathy for him goes off, because I feel like I deal with this with my own workload that I try to give myself all the time, that it's like I'm trying to get away from working constantly, and then yet somehow like the industry machine pulls me back to that. And so I kind of I feel that, and I've talked to this man about this in person and seen it in his eyes, and I think he wants to get away from himself just as much as his employees. That like he knows that this isn't the way that things should be moving forward. But I think that maybe talking about this in the midst of a project that was built from this old mindset was not the right time to try to do better. Like, I almost feel like you need that gap. You need a new game, start from scratch, go to a bunch of studios, see how people who have gotten away from crunch have done that, rather than being a studio that's always done crunch and that's just know how you that's right. How you know how to make games, and trying to do that mid-stream, mid-project just didn't work.
Ian, is the most you could ever say, like, we don't want this to happen? Like, is it just virtually impossible to guarantee crunch won't happen? Or like Bloodworth said, I made a mistake. Like, either the game's delayed or we crunch or something's got to give.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because, like Blood said, it's a complicated. I have a lot of thoughts about it, and how do you get around it, right? Because if you are a company that has a game with a publicized release date, and you're afraid of hitting it, then you're going to have to crunch, right? But do you put it to your employees, put it to a vote to say, like, would you all rather, employees of this company, would you all rather crunch 6 days a week for the next month and a half, week and a half, whatever it'll be, or would you rather push the release date back a month and work normal hours? Like, either one is fine. This is not a trick, I don't think that every company would always be able to do something like that, because it trickles up and down, right? Like, the shareholders want that release date to happen. You want to get fiscal quarter, blah, blah, blah. Like, there are so many ins and outs. And then you see, on the other hand, like, people on Twitter, I saw a few reactions where it's just like, which seemed a little aggro to me, but it was like, people saying like, well, these employees know what they're getting into when they take this job. Like, if you don't like it, quit, and it's like, that's not realistic for everybody. Like, people can't just willy-nilly quit their jobs. Also, like, if you love something, you do run a risk of being taken advantage of for the love of the rest of the stuff you love, Like, there have definitely been times at Easy Allies where we do what would be considered crunch, and we're all like okay with it, and we kind of manage ourselves, but like when the news keeps on coming, like during E3 as an example, where it's just like 16-18 hour days 2 weeks in a row, but like we know that's going to happen, but it's just the way it has to be. Like, I always come back to the same solution. That the best thing I can think of is just don't say when your game's coming out until you can hit it. Until you know for sure, like say a target. Because I mean, like, what are the two things that the companies that get the most flack for crunch have in common, right? Like, I mean, I'm thinking these guys, Rockstar, Naughty Dog, like, and I mean, it's obvious that they would have stories about their crunch because they're just big companies too, but like the two things they all have in common are crunch and delaying their release dates. And it's just like, well, stop telling us the release dates then. Like, you're just going to push it 4 times, and then you're going to make everybody crunch anyway. Just whenever when you're a year and a half into the development of, GTA 6 or whatever, whatever you think your release date is, just add 8 months, and just operate on that assumption, But then I guess,
Ian, I think in general, ever since like film school, any creative project, doesn't matter what it could be, a birthday card,
right.
It could be like anything. Just whenever somebody creative comes at me and they're like, "This will be quick," I like get angry. I'm like, "How dare you?" Like,
well, and also like
knows
the problem,
that. It's impossible to know that, and so it's like I enjoy how transparent this is. Like, we know exactly what days they're going to be working. We know exactly how long that's going to be. We found out about this, very soon after the employees found out about this. Like Blood was saying, Badowski, I'll quote him directly, "I take it upon myself to receive the full backlash of the decision. I know this is in direct opposition to what we've said about crunch. It's also in direct opposition to what I personally grew to believe a while back, that crunch should never be the answer. But we've extended all other possible means, including apparently delaying the game, of navigating the situation." So I love how transparent this is, but this is not a company that releases games every 5 minutes. And so if The Witcher 4 is not until 2026 and they just run into the exact same situation again and are like, oops,
that's what I was gonna say.
Is this
like,
all for naught?
It's the same kind of thing. Like these companies managing time is the same kind of thing about like a person managing money, right? So often I find the case with like in myself, like anytime I've gotten a better job, I still live like the exact same amount within my means that I always have. I just spend more money now. You know what I mean? Like if I get a job that gives me more money, I just spend 80% of it still on like buying more whatever. And it's similar with these time budgeting in these companies where it's like if they gave themselves another 9 months, they would just add more stuff to do and have to crunch anyways. So yeah.
Huber, you just delay the game? Is it that simple?
Yeah. It amounts to 6 extra days or something. Like, just push it a week. I don't understand. Like, I get your marketing material is already out there, but like, eat it. I don't know. You're a huge company, like human, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Energy, human condition, like your health is more important than like a little bit of lost marketing dollars. Of course, I don't know how much marketing dollars that amounts to. It's probably a crazy amount. It is probably so ridiculous.
Yeah. Won't be that transparent.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that I don't have the perspective on, is like how much of this is like physical things in GameStop and how and partner contracts and all of these things. When they say they don't have any other options, there's clearly a lot there that I don't know what their other options potentially could have been. But I do know that in terms of the North American release dates, like November 19th is about as far as you can push it, to get those Thanksgiving sales. And I think that's something that they are definitely accounting for and banking on.
Well, they want to hit the holidays, and they want to I don't remember how long it takes, but like I know that the approvals process for getting things onto PSN and stuff, that's not instantaneous either. So like whatever date we see, push it forward a week or whatever it is that they actually have to deliver. Again, I don't know that time frame, but
yeah. And like you guys are saying, it is a very complex case. There's so many layers to this because of COVID, obviously. Because of what CD Projekt Red had initially said about not doing crunch, and they've gone back on their word. So like I see how many layers there are and how complicated it is. So yeah, I'm kind of torn about the whole thing. Like I worked in restaurants for over a decade, man. Like no holidays for you. Like one of the biggest industries in this country is the food service industry. Like for over 10 years, I didn't get to hang out with my family on Thanksgivings, on Christmases, on New Year's, on all these holidays for like no guaranteed extra money either. Because they have so many employees on. So like everyone is getting less tables but working more. And a big note for this one is that this, unlike a lot of other crunches, this one is paid overtime.
Yes.
So there is that. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, Badowski wrote on Twitter, these last 6 weeks are our final sprint on a project we've spent much of our lives on, something we can care for deeply. The majority of the team understands that push, eventually, especially in light of the fact that we've just sent the game to certification and every day brings us visibly closer to shipping a game we want to be proud of. This is one of the hardest decisions I've had to make, but everyone is well compensated for every extra hour they put in. And like in recent years, 10% of the annual profit our company generates in 2020 will be split directly among the team. And analysts, local analysts, to CD Projekt Red are estimating that the company will make 2 billion zloty. I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced, but 520 million US dollars in 2020. So hopefully that will work out for them. So again, a little more transparency there, but.
Well, the other funny thing is, like, as a consumer, how do you protest this? Like, if you vote with your wallet and don't buy this game because of it to help the employees, you're hurting the employees, like, and I know, like, there are other things that I just choose not to buy for, like, philosophical reasons too. So like, it's a fully valid means of protest to something like this, but like, I don't see companies changing it. I see companies doing exactly what they're doing right now, where they put out a statement a year before their game is done saying, like, we're not going to crunch anymore. And then when they do, they say, I know we said we weren't going to do this. We feel really bad. I'll take all responsibility, when really there's nothing is going to happen unless there are, like, regulations start.
So this was a good get for Schreier. Schreier was waiting for this to happen.
Sure.
He teed this up in June when he talked to Marcin Iwinski, CD Projekt Red boss, who said the production plans are discussed with people. And of course, we had to set a certain date because, as you know, we could develop every single game we've been developing endlessly because there's always something you can tweak, make it better. So a set date is important. But it is lots of planning, and we take into account a lot of variables. First and foremost, the production capabilities, the time we think is needed, the stage at which we are, but also the market environment. We are trying to hit a certain good window, and I think it's a good window, and it aligns with our production plans. So that didn't happen. Is this where a change could happen? Could that have been reworded to him being like, like, would that upset people? Would that make stocks drop? Would that get people, not interested in the game and being like, wait, they don't know if they're going to hit that window? They're like, it's so tough now. It's incomprehensible for me to understand how somebody could make this game just on its own, specifically hitting a date. It's like, right. You always hear when stuff is done, It's like, oh, they're just fixing bugs now. It's like, isn't that the most stressful, difficult, unsure part of the whole thing?
You know how many bugs this game probably has?
Yeah, and literally they don't know the reasons for any of them. Otherwise, they would be fixed. So I probably got to figure out what the hell is doing this. There's stuff in Avengers, Hubert. We were like, wait, 1,000 fixes, and they still didn't fix this thing? And they're like, we have no idea what is doing it. Didn't do it before. Didn't do it for us. Didn't do it during beta. Doing it now.
Yeah.
So it's, I feel bad when these things came up. This obviously, to me, needed to be the most important thing we talked about in the podcast. But it's like, we rarely have answers. We rarely are confident that this is gonna change. The big takeaway for me here is transparency. That's what feels a little different. All of the specific details that we know.
I agree.
And this, although many people would disagree, this earnestness that CD Projekt Red's like, we're trying. They also said we're not going to put microtransactions in multiplayer. That blew up, and they're like, it's, the devil's in the details. But CD Projekt Red taking some hits. We'll have to remember. Whenever they make
all-
this statement again in 2024 for Witcher 4
Yeah.
or whatever, we got to remember.
Yeah, they get this
I
one.
guess, yeah, all they can do is be earnest about it, and like, CD Projekt Red, Projekt RED, however you were supposed to say it, like, for me, like their Twitter gaffes, you know, over the years with GOG and this game, they're on like medium to thin ice as it is, and like if this game comes out and is pretty insensitive or like doesn't celebrate the things that I think are very easy to celebrate in cyberpunk settings, you know, if it has more of a kind of a outdated mindset, then that'll be very, very disappointing. But I will have already bought it, which will be a bummer. But like, yeah, it's a funny situation, and I don't know, because like, yeah, these games aren't created in a vacuum. And like Huber, I think you hit the nail on the head too. Like, holiday sales window is huge.
Yeah.
And hopefully that this is being communicated with their staff well enough that they all understand, like, yo, like hitting this window, we will sell more, and that will translate to more money for you. I just hope everyone's on board, I guess.
Like, how cool would it be for the new God of War? Because we saw 2021, right? If the next time you see a date for it, it's just like in a week.
That's what I
Like,
always
just
want.
do that. Just work normally.
Or like a month or two.
Yeah, a month.
Yeah.
Work normally until it's ready to freaking go.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, guess what? Coming out in a month. Boom.
Well, Tell Me Why it felt like an interesting situation. I haven't touched that game, but like those coming out weekly, that was crazy. You know, that was like, as opposed to, you know, following, you know, the two of your emotions specifically, Bloodworth and Huber. Every time it's like, when is it going to happen? Oh, it's this day. Well, this other game just came out. I didn't know. I would have planned ahead, you know, but you don't get those dates until later. And so it's kind of, you know, I wonder if it'll take something like Netflix, just, you know, like House of Cards bombing all these episodes at once, some kind of shake up like that of some company, you know, like you're saying, Hubert, they'll take a big company to do this and be like, we just didn't tell you, we just kind of put that off. Like Breath of the Wild is like the next Breath of the Wild trailer. There it is. Like, you know,
like Capcom, they've had this crazy habit of just being like, hey, Resident Evil 2 remake comes out in 5 months.
Yeah.
Like, and then they hit it, right? Yeah. Like, or it's sometimes delayed by
believed.
a month or so.
That's what shocked me about Resident Evil 2 more than anything. I was like, they believed. I thought they were like, oh, fine, we'll make this game. But like, they clearly, like, that was a big initiative. Same with Monster Hunter, you know, World. Like, whoa.
But like,
look how much care they're taking
like,
with this franchise.
Are they crunching like crazy over there and we're just not hearing about it?
Sure.
Or are they just not telling us until they're ready? Because I would, like Huber said, like, I would be happier to not hear of a game's existence until it's like 60% of the way through. Don't give us a date until it's done and you're already working on the bugs. Then give us a date that's 6 months out. Like, we don't have to know how done it is. Like, we'll be thrilled because you moved the whole announcement schedule forward a bunch, or back, I guess, toward the release date. Like, what we don't know won't hurt us.
I am seeing delay sympathy kind of move, the needle moving a little bit towards people being more sympathetic and happy and like, hey, take your time. A little bit.
Yeah,
I don't feel like there's that many people that are actually upset with delays. Like,
I never see that anymore. It used to be so intense. Now
it's less people get. Well, especially for a game like this, whose motto basically for the first 4 years was like coming whenever it's ready.
Right.
You know,
and
like they're
so
the ones who
games.
like started saying that.
Yeah.
I remember, dude, we had to, I mean, not to like make this about me and us, but like we had to cancel EZ-est, you know, we had this big event we were going to plan for the beginning of the summer and then we like couldn't use it. And I'm like writing out this moment, this like blog that we posted to announce it. And, like, this sucks. You know, it's like, I have such a newfound respect for all these people that like got to pick the background and the font they're going to use and then they save that little image and tweet it out.
I wonder how much sales equate to
not fun.
Like a year of hype for a game, you know, when they announce a game, it's like, all right, coming out next year. I wonder how much that really impacts. Is it because like are pre-orders as big as they once were? Like, that's some information I want to know.
Are probably bigger now with the digital sales, because you just go on your PlayStation, click pre-order, and there it's in.
But I feel like the ease of access has removed the need to pre-order, where the night before a game comes out, you're just like, okay, buy it. Oh, it comes out tonight? Cool. Digital.
Yeah,
boom.
I mean, you get pre-order, but Modern Warfare, play it early. You got, you know, like collector's editions and, you know, like
Look, but like on the flip side of that, like what do we gain by having seen Beyond Good and Evil 2 years ago.
Right.
What do we
of
gain
course.
by seeing Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever the space one's
the
called?
only thing you
Elder
gain
Scrolls.
is if you have like a very clear goal for how long that's going to take. Like, you know, like,
Well,
we found out about Cyberpunk a long time ago, and I thought like those two E3s back to back where we got to see it, those were handled pretty well. Like I thought it was like, yeah, it's been a year, and I'm glad we saw a little bit more. And you know, it's like there is a way to do it. It's just you can't just show a thing and then vanish.
Yeah, because for
Well,
sequels,
I'm wondering if you go ahead.
I was just saying for sequels and stuff, like when they announce it ahead of time, there is some kind of goodwill there where it's like, oh, they're making it, or like, oh, it's cool, like go make it now, and I'm good knowing that it's being made, so take your time. But then it's like the cat's already out of the bag, and it's like, okay, when is it coming out? So
Then
it is
people
kind of
start
that.
getting impatient.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the reason we hear about this stuff super early, is because the companies want the goodwill to keep going. They want us to keep the drip feed going all the time of like, oh, that company's not just sitting on their thumbs, like they're actually doing stuff. There's exciting stuff in the works, and that keeps their shareholders happy and stuff. It's probably a compounding thing, but yeah, I kind of just wish, like, don't announce your game less than a year from when you think, you know, it's going to happen. Just don't. Announce something else. Like have a B squad of 20 people make like smaller games. Like maybe make a prequel
Well, they did
game.
the Gwent
you know?
stuff. You know,
The what?
Gwent and the
Right.
Thronebreaker and all that kind of thing.
So
yeah.
like just do all that and don't tell us about the other stuff, you know?
But yeah, I do remember with Animal Crossing, like Nintendo stock dropping because of the delay last year.
Right, yeah.
I'm like,
It's very real.
you dummies.
Well,
Like-
that's the other side, Bloodworth, is like we're talking about this as video games enthusiasts who
Yeah.
like understand, and anyone listening to this, I'm sure like we all understand what's going into these games and stuff like that. Like the EA shareholders or whoever, like who just
Where's
panic
my
and freak
money?
out constantly. Yeah, they don't understand. They're just like, this looks bad for the portfolio.
Well, I can totally sense this fear of next gen, and it's like Cyberpunk's gonna be the biggest thing in the next 3 months. It doesn't matter what consoles.
yeah.
We're gonna be like, we're gonna be
Cyberpunk
jealous
is
that other
next gen.
people have consoles we don't have, and people are gonna be curious about the performance of it, and like, but this game is just completely ginormous. It's just we're gonna be unpacking this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, talking about the gangs and the like secrets and the story and like, yikes. And sales and where did those 6 days go
Yikes.
and all that, you know, it's we're gonna spend a lot more time on this story. Not to
There
wrap
will
it up.
be
Tell us.
hundreds
Not to wrap
of
it
What
up.
if
videos.
at the end they're like they tell us exactly what these 6 days bought them?
But I am so hungry for this next story, I could taste it.
Itchy tasty.
This is kind of a next-gen story, Huber. But as you recall from last week's podcast,
promised.
when we were talking about the next Spider-Man game, Miles Morales, which is coming out this summer.
Yeah.
And we learned recently that in order to get Spider-Man
Oh,
remastered,
this is weird.
in order to get Spider-Man, this is weird. In order to get Spider-Man remastered, you have to get
So
Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, and it says, you know, Spider-Man remastered will not be sold by itself. It's not going to be available on its own. And they're making some fun changes to Spider-Man remastered. You know, they got some graphical improvements, got some ray tracing in there, some improved frame rates. Oh, and by the way, a totally different Peter Parker.
Just his face.
Yeah, just the face.
Totally new
Same
dude.
voice is freaky. Same voice, different face. That's weird. That's gonna weird me out, man.
This might
But that's
be
what they said, is they wanted to make it look more like Yuri
the
Rosenthal. or
weirdest
whatever.
news story,
Lowenthal.
I think, personally, for me of 2020. The weirdest.
Lowenthal.
Because this is just so, it's like even just staring at the faces of these two gentlemen. So, again, to recap, the actor that played John Bubniak, who played, and I love that I know that. I love that people were curious, because remember, the Quantum Break guy vanished, and I got really curious about it. Nobody cared.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no one had his name. Like, I had to, like, get a private detective to find this guy. And he was totally cool about it. He was like, oh, yeah, you know, they cast Iceman, and I'm still in the game. You know, I just work at the company.
That's right.
John
the
Bubniak
original.
was the previous Peter Parker, is going to be replaced by Ben Jordan, still going to be voiced, obviously, by Yuri Lowenthal. I don't believe Yuri's going to be doing any additional voice, work for the remastered version. So it'll be same voice, new face, and this is our new Peter Parker. This will be the Peter Parker that's in Miles Morales, and this will be the Peter Parker that's in Spider-Man 2. The main reason that they're stating why they did it is that they're going to be able to do more things with Peter Parker's face, with obviously all of faces in video games on the PlayStation 5, but obviously going to put way more work on Peter than any other character. And they found limitations with the facial structure of actor Yuri Lowenthal, who will be doing all of the mocap, and John Bubniak. So they cast Ben Jordan to fit the facial structure of Yuri Lowenthal more. Yuri specifically replied to Insomniac on Twitter, "Guys, it's my face's fault. The stupid, stupid bones in my face. Blame my bones." The thing that's tripping me, and I throw this directly at Michael Huber, is yes, potentially Ben Jordan's facial structure is more adaptive to Yuri Lowenthal, but there also is the completely unignorable fact that he looks insanely like Tom Holland.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know this stuff bothers you, Jones. We were just talking about this with Mafia, and how you when you see real people or whatever, it kind of takes you out of it.
This is going to be a tough pill to swallow. Of just go. It's like, should I just jump into Miles Morales and just never play remastered and be like, that's gonna be so weird. This will be Back to the Future Part 2. They recast, Jennifer, and okay, it's fine.
Like most things, I'm torn, and I see both sides. Like, it's super weird. I have such a fondness and a bond now to that original Peter Parker and Spider-Man. That's one of my favorite games of all time. That's just such a freaking good game.
You brought it to Hall of Greats, man.
Yeah, it's so good, and on the other hand, it's like, well, this is super weird, but I'm guessing after like 10 or 15 hours, I'll get used to the new one. Like, I guess, and it'll be fine. Sure.
I don't think this is going to affect sales. I don't think this is going to affect review scores or anything. No. And it'll inevitably be something to get over. And I'm not mad at anybody. Brian Entahart tweeted out a wonderful statement that I want to read before we end talking about it. But, Insomniac's getting a lot of heat for this. And clearly, it's such a weird decision that
controversy round 2.
Yeah, of course. I totally believe that they felt that they had to do this. Otherwise, why would you do something so bizarre, so strange, so obviously disruptive? Mm-hmm. And they tried to package it with a lot of good news about the remaster, but it's just it's such an ezy thing to be, turned off by. It's such an easy thumbnail to create. You just take the two actors and go, what? Like, so
the thing I think of is like, what's wrong with Yuri's face? Like
the bones.
No, but I mean, like, if they're changing the whole face to match more Yuri's mocap, why not just use his damn face?
Or some other variant of that. So, like, Last of Us kind of have that.
You can age him down. It's a damn computer game.
It's been interesting having Troy Baker play so many people, and it's like, yeah, that kind of looks like Troy. That kind of looks like Troy. They always kind of look like him. I think Infamous Second Son was like, that was just him. It was like very, very close to his visage. But what's the Shadow of Mordor? It's like, it's kind of
Talon.
Talon. He's got a little Bakerishness. But this is I'm surprised I've never even heard about this. This is something I thought I would hear about in something that's not Spider-Man, something that was not so clearly this brand new initiative for him. They're like, I know it's going to seem weird, but we want to throw this brand new Peter Parker. I know you're in love with Tom Holland. We don't want to do that. And then now it's like, actually, we're going to bring in the Hollywood Wax Museum version of Tom Holland to play. I mean, no offense to Ben Jordan, but it's just like, I feel bad for both these guys. One guy gets retconned out, and the other guy has one of the maybe most exciting bookings of his career, only to be thrown into the oven.
Well, I think the only thing I care about really is how it'll change the impact of the story in the original. Like, I'm definitely going to replay this game. One of my favorites for sure. I definitely want to play it on PS5 with all the upgrades. But it's a completely different looking person. Yeah. And his face is going to be doing different emotions, clearly. So, if that's gonna convey a different feeling and a different emotion. There's no way it won't, even if it is the same voice and the same lines and the same acting. So it'll be interesting to see how it affects some of the scenes in the game.
Because you say, Huber, this stuff gets to me, and like, there's no way I couldn't play Spider-Man Remastered not realizing this guy is acting to no one, right? It's like when they brought all of those actors in to do all of the scenes that I'm assuming are all going to be the same in Spider-Man Remastered.
Yeah.
They're just replacing one guy.
He's just in a room by himself.
He's got to do all these scenes to just the developers. Are they going to pay the cast to come back and do these scenes?
But wait, didn't they have the Yuri Lowenthal mocap?
Correct.
Yeah, they had the mocap.
They just photoscanned this new guy and threw that onto the data.
Oh, if it was Yuri doing the face stuff. Yeah, okay. So
yeah.
So
that's why they wanted it to match his structure.
It's so weird.
It's just a reskin.
Yeah.
I think they should have justified it with the story and done like a
Spider-Verse.
Batman '89 scene where like it's Joker's with his back to the camera and he's like mirror, mirror, like he got. So like old Peter Parker got a bunch of fell in a vat of acid,
Yeah.
and he went to like a shady, underground face doctor, and then he turns around and this is the new guy, and then he's just like, it's not that bad actually, it's all right.
I'm also seeing, Hubert, I'm seeing the sentiment, and I'd love to just talk about this in, facing characters at large that have dealt with this before. But a lot of people are like, Nathan Drake in Uncharted 3 looked different than Uncharted 4. And it's like, this is so different for so many reasons. Like, just updated his face.
So different.
This is a different guy.
Yeah,
and
it's
when
a
they
different
released
human.
Uncharted 4, they didn't go back to Uncharted 3 and like just put this new Nathan Drake who looks great. I like to see these evolutions of characters, but a lot of people are like, this has happened before, and this has not. This is definitely so strange. This is such a weird, bizarre thing that is so unfortunate, but it won't affect sales, and no one's at fault. It's just, other than maybe the foresight of
And he's
to know the technology we're going to be using years later. Like,
he's wearing the mask for more than half the game, and again, you start zipping through that city, he won't even.
Well, but then poor Crystal Dynamics sometime in 2021 is going to be like, and here's this new weird Peter Parker.
What if they never take the mask off? Never take the mask off. He's always Spider-Man. He's always got the mask on.
There's rumors Jamie Foxx is coming back. You never know who you're going to get in what world.
What if Crystal Dynamics?
What
if Crystal Dynamics has the original Insomniac Spider-Man in Avengers?
And our Avenger Spider-Man is Tobey Maguire. Like, wow. It's just so weird. To give Brian Intihar credit, and just to kind of wrap this up, today's news about the new Peter Parker face model has surprised some of you. I think it surprised every human being on the planet. But anyway, and we at Insomniac totally understand your reaction. Heck, it even took me a while to get used to Peter's new look. But as we discussed the franchise's future and moving to the PlayStation 5, it quickly became apparent that delivering even more believable-looking characters made finding a better facial match for actor Yuri Lowenthal, who we all love as Peter, a necessity. We care as much about this character as your attachment to him, so please know that we didn't make this decision change lightly. As we did throughout the development of Marvel's Spider-Man, we'll continue to read your comments, listen, and always be looking for ways to improve every facet of the game. At the same time, I hope you can trust us that this decision is what we feel is best for the future of the franchise and our upcoming goals for this beloved Marvel character. Yeah, no way they can undo this. Like, a lot of people are upset. A lot of people love their Spider-Man, man.
I really liked the original.
There's,
I have really warm feelings for the original Spider-Man there.
And it's, but honestly, some of the faces, when I first saw the cutscenes in Spider-Man, I was like, these look weird, and like, new Peter. Yeah, it's going to take me a second to get used to that Peter, and like, got to do it again.
This actually reminds me of Dinklebot, Destiny, replacing Peter Dinklage out. Kind of similar. I know it's just voice, not face, but kind of a similar, like taking a big character in the story out and replacing them.
Due to fan outcry, like there's definitely a sense that they did not enjoy his performance.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's like, this is exactly the opposite. Shout out to John Bodniak. Somebody hire this man, please. Get this guy.
You can't. He's got a terrible face.
He's just not like Yuri Lowenthal. So you just got to get. But it's like they clearly couldn't have fired Yuri Lowenthal. They were like, no. Who we love is Peter. It's like
ugly as hell that Yuri Lowenthal.
Hack. It's just crazy to me to think like. This is the level that things are at now, that like people have to be cast for these faces, and like you just don't make whatever face you want to make.
Right.
Even though you've got motion capture data.
It's not like Chris Redfield. We were used to that
biggest problems are puddles and faces. So be it.
You gotta be said. That's when you're on the cutting edge. When you are literally making characters look better than they ever have in video games.
What are they gonna do when Spider-Man has to face his worst enemy, Puddle Face?
Yeah.
Puddle Face, dude.
Was it Hydro? Who's the water guy? There is a water guy.
There is a water guy. I don't. Yeah.
See, that's how they should have done it. Ian is like, there's a puddle on the ground, and he looks in the puddle, and it's the new Spider-Man.
No, but it's got to be a puddle that wasn't there. It's got to be a puddle that wasn't there.
Right.
He looks and there's no puddle, and then he looks back and what? Oh, there's a puddle. So yeah, nothing but love for Yuri and literally but Brian and the whole staff, everybody involved.
We should
that must have been a
definitely
difficult decision to make.
Jones.
Wow,
we definitely
kudos.
we should definitely revisit this after you play through it
I'm not.
Which you're not going to replay the game?
Not remastered. I'm not going to play Spider-Man again.
No?
Probably not. No.
Okay.
With Cyberpunk and Miles and all that, I'm not,
I was going to say, I'd
maybe
love to
someday.
get your take about if it impacted your playthrough at all.
It impacted me immediately. What was crazy, I read Brian Intahar's thing first. That was nuts. For him to be like, okay, I know you're all freaking out about Peter's new look. And it was like, what? So I'm just like, trying to find the image, knowing that, like, I'm about to be shocked. Doesn't matter what this poor guy looks like. He could be literally Hugh Jackman could be stepping into the role, and it'd be like, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a stretch. And now, a word from our sponsors. Got you back this week, Ian. I missed you last week because I couldn't show off those beauties on you there.
I gotta get you the other pair.
Good thing the green screen aren't. Ian and I don't like to touch each other. That's the problem. You see, anything that Ian's touched, I just kind of like have written off.
I'm the opposite of Huber.
I've worked Bloodworth slowly back into my bubble. Definitely done touching Huber either. That's not even. But Huber doesn't get packages in that way, so there's nothing really that.
Well,
we
Huber
would need
just
to trade
loves
off.
to touch you.
Mm-hmm.
This is true. You never know.
Shoulders are my favorite.
Shoulders.
Has Huber touched me in the last 7 months? Anyway, moving on.
No. I haven't looked in your guys' eyes in real life in so long.
We haven't seen each other since March.
But we have heard
Really
each
long.
other through those beautiful Logitech headphones on top of Ian's head right now. Why don't you get yourself a pair and listen to us through those beauties? Based on the award-winning pro gaming headset design, the Pro X wireless headset features high-quality materials, advanced communications, precision audio, and total wireless freedom. I feel like every week, that's basically just what I'm trying to do with this podcast, advanced communications. Logitech's pulled it off. It has light-speed wireless technology, up to 20-plus hours of battery life, a detachable pro-grade microphone featuring real-time Blue Voice technology, including passive noise isolation, compressor limiter, and more for clean, professional voice comms. Its advanced Pro G 50mm drivers deliver clear and precise sound imaging with improved bass response. You can hear footsteps and environmental cues with clarity to give you the competitive edge. With supreme comfort and durability, it has a pro-grade, sleek, and minimal design that's built to last with premium aluminum and a steel reinforced headband. The minimal design that's built to the ultra-comfortable memory foam earpads and headband are wrapped in plush leatherette and provide passive noise isolation. Extra velour earpads are also included for an even softer feel. I was legitimately distracted by the beauty of Ian's demonstration. For a limited time, Logitech G is offering our listeners 10% off of select products at logitechg.com. Use code EZA, that's the whole word easy, EASYA, for 10% off today. That's 10% off select Logitech G products with promo code EZA, ESYA. Don't break it.
For listeners, Ian is
Don't break
taking the
it.
microphone all over his glasses,
All right.
This is the microphone. Ow.
bending it everywhere.
It's very fun to bend. Actually, a lot of
bend.
times under the screen where you guys can't see it, I'm often trying to get this little bendy as straight as possible. I'll do the makeup tutorial thing. Let's see. Yeah. So, it's a nice bendy thing, and so I'll just be trying to straighten
Instead
straighten it
of
right
focusing
out.
on the podcast, is that what's going on?
Well, when you're talking about damn faces that don't matter for 25 minutes, Jones.
This is a very big story that I will continue after the sponsored read.
Oh God.
Also, a huge thanks to Samsung and AT&T for sponsoring the podcast this week. Samsung's newest phone is the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G powered by AT&T 5G, and it's available now. AT&T 5G requires compatible plan and coverage, not in all areas. Here are just some of the new features you can try out on this device. Cloud gaming will be available with the power of 5G. You can try out cloud gaming with high-performance experiences brought to you via the newest Samsung devices powered by AT&T 5G. The Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G also has 120 Hz adaptive display that automatically adjusts the refresh rate according to the content you are viewing, an intelligent battery that optimizes your gameplay. Between 5G support, Wi-Fi optimization, and the advanced processor, you get a smooth gaming experience with virtually no lag. Also, check out the S Pen and Samsung Notes to create your own works of art. Head on over to att.com/Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G to learn how you can get the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 5G for free or Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G for $299.99 for a limited time. That's att.com/Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G. And
Omar's got one of those.
yeah, anyone
And I saw him doing the cloud gaming thing, and it looked really cool. He had a little holder on top of an Xbox controller. I don't know if it's the xCloud demo or what it was, but yeah.
I tell you this, Apple not wanting to do any streaming nothing with nobody. is the first thing, the first ding in the armor in all the years that I've worked with Apple and all their products. I'm like,
Apple sucks.
maybe
Get
I'll-
Android.
Yep, I might. Might get me a Samsung. If you own a Galaxy Note 20 or are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. All right. Daniel Bloodworth got up early this morning with Michael Damiani
Yeah.
to get the news. And people are like, people are angry we put this in our thumbnail. People are angry after the fact if you say what the fighter is.
Two
I don't know,
people.
man. You got to get up. You got to get up, see those news, get that fighter, because I'm about to spoil it right
you
now.
can't stop the news cycle.
Are people excited about this?
That's
one?
always the question, and why I think it always needs to be placed.
Are they
on this
mad? Is it Byleth
Because I
again?
love to check in with the Smash Brothers community to see exactly how angry they are that their most favorite fighter was not mentioned, because it never is the person that you want. Some people did, though, want Minecraft, Steve and Alex, and more specifically, just Minecraft in general, coming to Smash
And
Brothers
Zombie
Ultimate.
and Enderman.
And Enderman and Zombie.
Yeah.
Which are just the skins, which are the trade away. What are they called? Right?
Echoes.
Or these are those characters are added too, or they're the echoes?
I
Oh,
no,
they-
none of it's echoes. It's
The
just
skins, right?
yeah. It's just when you
skin,
pick the
yeah.
different colors, you get those
Got it.
different
Yeah.
options. Yeah.
Got it. How was that presentation this morning, Blood?
It was a quickie. It is interestingly enough a tease to another presentation this weekend. So you have your wonderful Smash Brothers reveal trailer where they build it up. You're wondering what's about to happen, and then all of a sudden, like, Mario's in this dark cave, and you see like the one square block get knocked out, and like, yep, okay, here it is. It's Minecraft. Like you recognize that before you even see the character, and yeah, and then just going through like all the little highlights of moves and things, and then Sakurai talked for a couple of minutes and kind of threw Nintendo under the bus a bit, which was fun, because they're like, he was like, they were telling him, you've got to do it. You can do it, right? But I guess the craziest part about this is that you can actually put blocks down as one of the moves, and that meant he had to have the team go back and reprogram all of the levels, and think of just about how many levels Smash Brothers
Dude.
has, so that this mechanic would actually work. And not to mention balancing and all that good stuff.
Labor of love.
But the typical thing where he like goes through like and like plays with two controllers and does all the moves and stuff like that, he didn't do that. Like the longer, more extended look at the character, I think is what's going to be shown off. There's like a Minecraft live thing on Saturday at like 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. So that's where we're going to see more of this, the deeper dive on the characters and potentially the release date. They didn't really talk about that either. So it's just, here it is. This is Minecraft. The one thing they did talk about was the level has the biomes, so you can see like different. I don't know how it's gonna actually function. We'll probably learn that as well. But it's not just like one static level. It looked like there's different seasons or whatever that they've got going on.
I think that's the thing that impresses me as somebody who does not play a lot of Smash Brothers is the extent outside of just the character itself, like all the different levels that they are adding and all the different variants of that stuff, even kind of more so than the moveset of the character. It's just like, whoa, they are, again, which is why this seems much less like Steve and Alex are coming to Smash Brothers and more like, no, Minecraft is just kind of in general as a theme. And, Microsoft and Nintendo have been doing lots of fun things together.
Yeah.
They got the Minecraft on that Switch. There was a Nintendo Switch shown during a Microsoft press conference. I remember that being a zinger. So I don't know. And he was, Minecraft in general was always something that I heard was brought up. Were there any rumors leading up to this? Was there any any rumbles, any aftershocks? Like,
People have talked about Minecraft and Steve in particular for a long time as a potential, but I don't feel like there is any like hard, like definitive, everybody knows that this is what it's going to be. When we were getting ready and speculating this morning, we were just thinking it was going to be Crash, and then Damiani said Sakurai tweeted something about it's about time, and so like, oh, it's definitely Crash.
That's funny.
wow,
And it was not.
poor guy doesn't know what he's.
So
Yeah, I think this is...
I thought that Crash would have been I still think Crash would be a great pick because
Sure,
he's
definitely.
a huge mascot character. He's very historical, and I would not be surprised to see Crash be one of the last few that come out.
Yeah, I think this is awesome. I'm not a big Minecraft fan. Never really got into it. Never really...
Ooh.
Can't build anything. In games I usually just build like a one room house. That's my thing. Like my Sims houses are like just a one room. But there's no denying how big Minecraft has been to an entire generation of people. Like there was a time, bringing up restaurants again, there was a time when I was working, just every day some kid would have Minecraft on their iPad. So to just bring that entire generation now into Smash, like it's just I just think it's so cool. Again, I don't even really like Minecraft that much, and I think this is a really cool pair up, a really cool addition to Smash.
So you're on the conference call between Microsoft and Nintendo, and like you're not surprised this name comes up before is considered more for over something like Halo or something also that people have been talking about potentially being in Smash. It's like
yeah, my
this
dream
kind of directs more towards the
my
Smash
dream is to get
audience.
Master Chief and Kratos in there, because then you have this kind of just the holy trinity of Mario, Master Chief, and Kratos, like Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony. So definitely there are other characters I would want more than Minecraft, but there's still no denying how big and massive it is. Like I would be shocked if a World of Warcraft character didn't somehow make an appearance, Jones? Like Warcraft is another one of the biggest games of all time. Like let's get someone from that in there. I've heard rumors that Tracer from Overwatch is on the list. She's a big one that always gets
I think it was
brought
Ash
up.
Paulson was tweeting out that he was expecting that one.
Like I really want Sora to get in there. He's my number
course,
one.
no,
I
that's
want,
the-
yeah. So there's always characters that people want for sure. There's always going to be someone that doesn't make the cut or that you want in there. But I think Minecraft is really cool.
I'd love to get Ian's take on this because Ian, I don't know nothing about no Smash Brothers, but again, love to focus on that marketing. Feels like Banjo-Kazooie was the last like bullseye. It feels like that was the last one that like. Oh yeah, like even people that aren't fans, like they're excited, and it feels like a lot of the ones since then have been like, well, that camp's stoked. It was like really kind of, and I not necessarily something that like, well, I know how to fix this. Like I don't know what you would do in general if you were planning any sort of character run for a game this crazy. But has the mood changed? At least just analyzing, the popular discourse when these things happen to you.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because they can't all be winners, right? One hopes they would be, but they won't. And like the quote that comes out in my mind right now is Sakurai said in a thing I read today that Nintendo comes to him and says like, hey, what about this? And then he goes, well, and he thinks about it and he says, of course, if I didn't think I could make it work, I would say no. And I find myself wondering how true that is. Because I'm like, how many of these are just like marketing deals come down from on high and you've got to do it?
He has the best job and the worst job at Nintendo right now, simultaneously.
So it's, I don't know, like, it seems like they're not so far, not aces like you said, because what is it, ARMS and this so far for Fighter Pack 2? And I know Byleth was not popular from Fire Emblem. That was the final reveal of Fighter Pack 1, if I recall. And yeah, it's weird. What's weird to me too is this is sort of like Byleth. It's another non-character. It's just a player avatar.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest downside on this is that these aren't characters that people care about as characters. It's cool to see the world and the aesthetic being represented. But it's also I think a thing where, in terms of the Nintendo audience specifically, Minecraft didn't come to Switch until it was well out of the hype factor and the zeitgeist around it, and so it's still like a huge game with more of the younger audience and everything, but the adults of us were into Minecraft long before and out of Minecraft long before the Switch version came around.
Yeah. I am seeing that sentiment a little bit online where they're like, oh, it makes sense because Smash Brothers is a kid's game. And Smash Brothers are like, what? Like fans are like, what'd you say? And it's just like Minecraft, 50-year-old Minecraft players are like, what'd you say? It's like.
That's the beauty though. I love that of like the 50-year-old Smash player and the 15-year-old Smash player this person's using Dr. Mario or something because they grew up loving Dr. Mario, and this person's going to use Steve from Minecraft because they played it every day on their iPad. Like, that's what Smash is all about. I love it. Love it.
I mean, they're definitely, for me, you know, being on the outside, I definitely was hungering for the Belmonts the whole time. So like it was definitely kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones. Like there was a point when I didn't read the books and when I did, and that show was a different show. Like it changed, you know. So it's like my whole attitude about these things. Now I want the randomness. Now I don't know. The story kind of takes a fun turn when I like look and I'm like, who is it? Oh, Minecraft. Oh, people are not gonna be happy about this. Like I'm kind of eager to see. You know, obviously I don't want toxic discourse to happen online, but it kind of reminds me of Pokemon starters. It's like there's no discernible worth here. One's not better than the other. There's not like a better pick or something. It's all left to the whims of this massive company and this director doing the best he can and.
The gift that keeps on giving. Like anything else is just bonus. Like they already added freaking Joker from Persona and the Dragon Quest hero, like the Belmonts and everything. Crash or Banjo. I mean, it's just like so many people in this game.
I think the reason that it seems to have more intensity than you think sometimes it would is because. Every slot they announce is a slot. It murders the potential for the thing you love to be in it, right? So it's like since everybody has a horse in this race and everyone has their own personal horse in this race, every time it's not your horse, that's one fewer out of 6 that your horse is going to be in it, you know? So like, and that's why the final one, like that's why people got so mad about Byleth, I think too, is like
it's a good call.
That was the last shot for that pack of the one of Ellie to be in there from Last of Us or some crazy shit. Like
Vegas odds for Solaire, Ian, just went down a notch.
Dude, Solaire would be exactly. The odds went down.
Would you legitimately play more Smash
instead
Brothers?
Of a 5 out of 6.
Would you play more Smash
If
Bros?
they put Solaire in there, I'd reinstall it.
Nice.
He's so epic.
Maybe.
Now I want the next Smash trailer to be like at the racetrack and literally have all the fans in the audience with all the tickets, and then you have all the horses and they take off like, and it's Sora, all wave their hands. So Nintendo knows.
You know what the most baller move ever would be for the final fighter they ever put in the game. Obviously this is so outlandish. You get a Marvel license for Mystique, and then you get
or Shang Tsung. You do Shang Tsung
or whoever. You do a sub. Then you do a sub license, and that one character can turn into every fan character that's ever been put out there. Like
T-1000, dude. Yep.
That character can turn into like literally 150 other characters. Right. The moveset's always the same.
Or just announce you're now accepting mods. Like, oh, thanks Nintendo.
Well, there's the whole thing of like it needs to be a video game first or whatever. So I think Shang Tsung would actually work.
We'll see. Stay tuned. That's where Huber's mind is going to be the next time we get new. But they announced it the night before, and it was like a 3-minute thing. You said, with the actual video was very short, and then a quick little thing after. So they definitely were just like, we're going to do that to counter us talking about the crunch with Cyberpunk. The fighters, they definitely know, when to let people know, and they're doing that right so far. I, of course, as a giant anime games fan, really wanted to bring Genshin Impact to this podcast. I just want to talk about it in general because I'm curious about it. A lot of people are talking about Genshin Impact right now, but thanks to GamesIndustry.biz, who posted, at least that's where I first saw the headline, Genshin Impact is the biggest international launch for a Chinese game. Now, I know we talk about records a lot. I always feel bad when I see like the UK charts, the Canada Game Awards. Just a lot of things that happen in other countries that are great. We are definitely focused on the US.
Do they have anything to compare it to? Like, what was the previous?
Number 2, with the thing it beat, I did not recognize the name of that. You can look it up if you want to. It was a game I was not familiar with, much as I was not familiar with Genshin Impact about a month ago. But now it is something that seemingly lots of people are talking about. It just seems like you're the biggest financial anything for China. I tends to divert my attention a little bit. The developer of this is MiHoYo. This game is on mobile, PC, and PS4. People are probably playing this as they're listening to this podcast, so I know a lot of people are like, dude, we're way ahead of you. But the success also extends to Twitch, where it had 110,000 concurrent viewers just a few hours after launch. It is already the second top-grossing app on the iOS App Store in China, and it is estimated the game has already made 1.84 million. That is an analyst company that is in China on Apple so far. 5.3 million people were registered on its website from outside of China before the game launched. 16 million total internationally, and its budget was 100 mil. So it's I think
really
it'll
had a big
probably do well.
Genshin.
What?
I don't get
What?
that. I usually love your jokes, Ian. I don't get this one.
It's had a big impact, but I said the other
Okay.
word.
See, I thought Genshin. I don't know what Genshin means. Now I wonder. That,
Me neither. I
I
hope
did,
it doesn't
I
mean
did some
something weird.
research. Didn't do that. That's the thing that that I missed. That's all this useless information that I found. Should have looked up what Genshin means.
Oh, this game looks jolly as hell. And I think the biggest selling point, you get everyone's ears peaked when you start throwing Breath of the Wild out there. You start comparing a game
Gotcha
to
of the Wild.
Yeah, you start comparing, this Breath of the Wild clone. Yeah, everyone is like, what the hell, what are you talking about?
Right.
I have unfortunately not played it yet, but I am very intrigued because it looks like it has very cozy towns. Saw some trailers in this game, and the towns look jolly and cozy.
4 people in your party, not just one player.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 people running around. Eventually, apparently the first quest is a doozy. I guess a lot of people have bailed on this first quest, which takes a very long time. It kind of reminds me of the beginning of Breath of the Wild. I was just like, give me the glider, give me the glider. Like,
I watched Kyle swim to a rock with a treasure chest on it.
I watched him climbing a house, and he referred to it as Jones's mansion.
yay!
Yeah, it'll be like, how long has this game been out in Japan, or did it just come out worldwide?
China.
China, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
'cause-
just came out.
Because I wonder, like,
I don't know.
there's
It's been
that
out in China already.
there's that Wild West excitement when it comes to an online game and an MMO specifically, which this game has.
GamesBiz said it was the biggest international launch, so I'm imagining this
Okay.
either was solely its international launch or it launched in all markets. But
Yeah, just that race to the top and like the race to the end game and trying to discover everything and find everything. Like, I imagine just this time right now for Genshin is very exciting.
it seemed like a lot of open world games borrowed elements from Breath of the Wild, but it seems like now we are seeing the Battle Royale-esque saturation of the Breath of the Wild market. And it was, following Immortals Phoenix Rising, and then this, and both of those are apparently not bad. Like, a lot of people are really enjoying. Obviously, this is a free-to-play game, so there's a lot of incentive,
Well, this was first talked about a while back, at like some expo, either early this year or late last year, when it first got that reputation of being a Breath of the Wild clone in a very derogatory way. So yeah, but other than those two, I don't feel like there's been that much, in terms of games that feel mechanically similar.
But these just seem to have been received well. Now, I'm surprised
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't come in and they're like, hey, this is a good model to steal. This is maybe we should. Not only are these games going to be fun, but
What's going on?
one of these days we're going to find out what
Ian
Ian's
has his
thinking.
hands on his head.
I just had my mind blown.
Hopefully, it pertains to the story we're talking about. This
It
could
does.
be something.
I was
like-
trying to see if it had a different Chinese release. Everything I can see just says it came out on the 28th. But I also just learned that gacha is based on gachapon from Japanese vending machines. I
Yeah.
always thought it was got you, like gotcha.
Gotcha.
Gotcha, G-O-T-C-H-A, gotcha.
I didn't know what it was from, but I knew it wasn't that.
ACHA, right?
But it's G-A-C-H-A. I never knew that. I thought it was like gotcha because we're charging you a bunch of times. Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Am I just dumb? Did you all know
Yeah,
this?
that-
This
yeah.
is blowing my fucking mind right now.
Gotcha is the stuff that in Shenmue the Hebrews always.
Right, because it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
G-A-C-H-A,
yeah.
right?
I think
Yeah.
I'll get
Good
another.
lord. This
So I
so
knew it
many
was not
years, I just
spelled
thought
that
it
way.
was-
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it just seems like the perfect storm for this game. It's you get the Twitch blow up combined with glowing news stories about it. I've seen so many news articles saying that the game is really good. Actually, like it's better than being reductive and just calling it a Breath of the Wild clone. You have those two, and then you have that character progression, like going towards something to kind of hit that zeitgeist and that hunger to keep playing more. It just seems like the absolute perfect storm, perfect moment for this game.
Well, there's like a bunch of characters that got like 13 or 20 or something playable characters.
Well, Breath of the Wild clone doesn't seem like something you'd be embarrassed to say. Like, you'd
No.
wear that like a badge of honor.
Right.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly what we are.
Yes.
And I wonder,
Yes.
like, is it too late, Huber? If I'm some dev, they're gonna come rushing in, like, remember years ago that Breath of the Wild game that did really well? Yeah. And remember when we were going to make one, but you said we shouldn't? Like, yes.
Serious.
You know?
Man, I don't know if
Biggest
I want to be
international
Jean,
launch
Amber,
for a
Lisa, or Tia.
Chinese game. Seems like the time to do it. It's just interesting to see this model take off. I mean, you got it. From what I've seen, like, there's just some moments. There's some things from Immortals and from this that are like not just inspired by. It's the thing from Breath of the Wild. It looks exactly the same.
Right.
Like, some of the huts, like some of the little tribal guys in Genshin Impact is like, that's literally the same circumference of like the little shacks or little huts that you would go into in Breath of the Wild. But like, damn, I love that game, and I'm super tempted to play. I'm not going to, but
I'm gonna download it right now.
There's this
Yeah, I
part
want
of,
to play it.
there is
but
this
I'm
little
just
tiny
worried
voice in my
about
head
it.
like, do it.
Especially with the gacha mechanic. I'm worried that this game is just time sync the game.
So it's
It'll
Breath
be-
of the
That's
Wild.
what I'm
Yeah. But Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild is
Isn't that as
It's
advertised?
different,
It's
Jones.
Zelda, dude. It's Zelda. It's single player. It's like, you know. So I'm just.
There's a
I'm worried
difference-
to see-
I'm not saying a time sink is a negative. Like. That's why
Well,
I haven't
there's a
touched
difference
Ghost
between-
of Tsushima, because I know
True.
once I get back in,
True.
it's I'm not getting back out.
There's a difference between your time being rewarded for a purchase you've already made and your time being monetized.
I
Yeah, I
have
wanna
had
see
my
how
time
lethal
monetized
these are.
before, and it has been very rewarding.
I want to see how
You
lethal
love
these
it.
gacha
Record.
mechanics are. Like, can you not play after a certain amount of time? I just don't know enough about the mechanics
think so.
of Genshin.
Yeah,
Like,
and
where do they get you?
Right, Ben is streaming this tomorrow, and I'm assuming this is going to be more conversations we're going to be having specifically about the gameplay. It was just the sales. It was just the mood about people willing to accept. And I'm basing most of the reaction off of Mortals, off of Damiani, who was just, Breath of the Wild is a very important game to him, and I could totally see him being completely tuned out of Immortals, and he was, ecstatic after playing that. He could not wait to tell me about all of those details, and so it's like interesting to see people embrace something that was just so clearly an extension of something somebody else did. In a way that feels different from before. It feels different than Battle Royale. It feels different than games as a service. This is like that game. Like, it's literally like the Greek Breath of the Wild. This is the anime Breath of the
And
Wild.
Shadowlands just getting delayed too, I think, helps this moment that Genshin is having even more. Just that MMO fever.
I mean, a lot of stuff got pushed out of this year. As it usually does. But I think a lot of stuff. Some smaller games. It feels like Among Us is blowing up. There's just a lot of interesting success stories that have happened this year. Games
It looks like the Tales games to me. Like, I guess the climbing
sure, a
is like
little
Breath
bit.
of the Wild, right? But
I've seen
every
that
time I
sentiment,
see it,
yeah.
I'm like, is it Tales?
Again, another reason to.
Yeah.
Its style is very, very, very familiar, very attractive, and like you said, it seems so cozy and.
Looks so cozy.
I
The
saw some
towns.
screenshots. They're like, you can feed ducks, and it's like, I want
Yeah.
to feed ducks.
Yeah, I want to jump in. It reminds me of a bigger Temtem kind of, Jones.
Thank
Gives me
you
a
for
little
bringing that
shades
up.
of
Is it-
Temtem.
It's the same kind of vibe where it's so unabashedly what it is. But if you go to Temtem and you read their website, they're not like, Poco, what? They're like, oh no, totally. That's what we did. That's what this is. That was the first day in the office. That's all we talked about. That's what was our goal. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of neat to A, see it done well, and B, see communities be like, go for it. Sure.
Yeah, I was asking
we're here
Ben's.
for that.
I was asking Ben's opinion on it, and he said he was saving his impressions for the stream. So he's gonna crack it fresh
Yeah.
on the stream, which I really appreciate. I like that.
I'm excited for Ian Hink's impressions. Apparently downloading
Also,
it right now.
weird to have a game that you just download from their website.
It's,
Yeah.
it's just it's an
through Steam
EXE
or
that
anything,
just
it's
pops up in your browser.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like League of Legends or something.
Yeah.
It's their thing.
Which is, again, another reason why it's like, keep it away from me. I have other games focused on. Also this week, here's a bunch of other headlines of things that happened in video games that I want to talk about very briefly before we wrap up the podcast. But please, we got a little extra time. If any of these jump out at you, if any of these things specifically you want to tune in on, let me know.
There's bows in Genshin, right, Jones?
I bet there are. I mean, there's a bows in Immortal. Again, it's the model. You have to
Jones.
make a bow character.
Jones, it's open world, right?
Yeah.
You can climb anything, Jones.
That I didn't know. Is there a stamina meter?
Feed the ducks, Jones.
Go on. Also this week, Among Us has blown up daily Discord downloads to around 800,000 daily. As of September 27th, that was the last report that they did. So not only blowing Twitch up and itself, obviously, but Discord is having a good month.
Such a power move, canceling the sequel to work on Among Us 1. That is epic.
It's good drama, though, you know?
I love it.
What fun, nothing drama, to add to your game.
Like a month or a week or something after they announced it, they're just like,
Reading a headline about a game that did absolutely nothing to my perception or anticipation or enjoyment of the game itself. And people got consoles. People are clocking consoles. They're checking these new consoles out. According to IGN, the Series X actually has 802 gigabytes of storage, which I think most people predicted. I think we talked about. You don't get that full terabyte. 128 of those gigs are dedicated to OS and system files. 198, sorry.
It's 20%. That's actually kind
of
a
big old OS.
Yeah,
why is that taking up so much room?
And according to...
Will this thing have a good menu for the first time in Microsoft history?
We will see. It's all about the blades.
I think currently it might just have the same menu.
I just remember that.
I
showed up at
360. Handle the blades.
It's all about the blades.
I can't handle the blades.
And according to multiple outlets, I could list them. You can go find them. But the load times on Series X are wonderful. Just lots of stuff runs like super fast. I love everybody checking Red Dead. It's like the longest out of all of this. I mean, it's Rockstar, man. Like even back to GTA 3, that game took forever to load on PS2. So I love it. It was like 2 minutes 8 seconds down to like 30 or something on somebody. Wow. So it was something of that margin. Like
I remember it was funny because I had deluded myself into thinking like no load times at all, So when I saw the Sea of Thieves one, it was like half. It's like half.
Yeah.
It went from like 2.5 minutes to 1.5.
Half to a third is about the average of all of them. Yeah. So.
Which is very, very good. Yeah. But my first reaction when I saw that list was like kind of like, still anything like load times.
Right.
Rocket League passed 1 million concurrent players for the first time in its history. Rocket League still breaking records, still kicking ass.
Yeah, well, it went free to play. Mm-hmm. So that's,
Rogue Company went free to play. Rocket League went free to play? Too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what happened recently. Okay. That was literally the next thing on my list was Rogue Company is now free to play. Nice. 2 million players joined the July closed beta. 2 million players have played that since
That's
launch,
a fun game. That's a fun game.
The biggest game that the dev has ever made. So
it's a small, intimate, tactical shooter type game, and I like it because it's got a good balance. It's got a good balance of really serious mechanics, but also feeling really friendly and chill to play. I like that game.
Huber also likes to play Destiny 2. And good news, Huber, your file size being downsized. They're following that Warframe news from a couple weeks ago.
Well, that seems kind of misleading to me because they're removing content, Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is that
4 planets are going away?
Yeah, they're removing. Obviously, if you're gonna remove half the game, your file is gonna go down.
You got more space though. Epic and Apple have both declined a trial by a jury. Neither one wanted that news. And I love, we didn't talk, I mean, there's every week there's more of this nonsense. I don't necessarily want to get into it, but I love that a judge like clearly told Epic, they were like, you're doing this for publicity. Stop. Like it's not gonna affect my judgment or anything, but just like I want you to know that I know that this is ridiculous. Take-Two has been sued over tattoos in WWE 2K, which I wonder why that doesn't happen like every year. Why is this one? This is definitely not the first time this has happened.
With this wrestler. I've seen this before. It's someone who did that particular wrestler's tattoos is trying to just get paid, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
weird.
It's like dances in Fortnite. It's like there's a point there.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
that's
on the
art
other hand, like,
in
a way.
Right,
it is art.
Doesn't the payment? I feel like tattoos should work like this. If they don't, like, make it more expensive. Then, like, if you're putting something on a person's body, they should be paying for the universal license for that artwork on their body.
And that is where
the sovereignty of that person's body trumps the sovereignty of your art.
Yeah.
Or it should.
But yeah, like Huber said, I've definitely heard this come up before, whether it was WWE or NBA or something like that, that this is not the first time that the tattoos have been subject to this kind of scrutiny or controversy.
Charge more.
Yeah. Ever since graphics got good enough to actually show the tattoos. It's actually is now a problem.
Also, the games should just learn to fake the tattoos
They should do that. Former Rockstar producer Leslie Benzies. Remember Benzies, Huber?
Benzies.
They said they need the Benzies. He has raised $40 million toward a new game. Benzies got $40 million to make whatever he wants. So we will see what that turns out to be. Netflix revealed Resident Evil Infinite Darkness.
Infinite.
How you feeling, Huber? You excited?
Yeah. I'm excited. The movies are pretty inconsistent. The live action, but the anime movies as well are inconsistent. Damnation, Regeneration, Vendetta. I think that's what they're called.
Sorry.
Suffocation. The newest. I'm a little lukewarm at this exact moment because the last one was Resident Evil Vendetta, and that is the worst Resident Evil movie, live action or anime, whatever.
Now I want to watch it. No,
I can't stand Resident Evil Vendetta.
I know what I'm watching tonight.
So we're on like a downhill. Yeah.
All right.
But this seems way different. Obviously, it's Netflix involved. Netflix has the power to make some really good stuff.
And some
And
very
some
Dragon's
really
Dogma.
bad stuff. So it's like, are we
apparently
gonna get?
Dragon's Dogma was terrible.
Are we gonna get the Resident Evil Vendetta Netflix Resident Evil show, or are we gonna get the good stuff? We'll see.
Yakuza 7 will launch on PS5 on March 2nd,
It hurts.
2021.
It's ridiculous.
November 10th on everything
Crazy.
else, which we knew before, but they were like,
Everything
later
else,
date on that
including
PlayStation
the
5 version.
PS4.
Yeah.
Like that's the weird thing to me.
Hurts me.
It's so ridiculous, man. It's because I think there was a while where it seemed like it was gonna come out, around the same time, and then there was this sort of nebulous where like they weren't saying, and then now it's like, okay, here's PlayStation 5, months later.
Is it a deal or like?
It has
gotta
to
be.
be.
It's got to be a weird
It
deal,
has
right?
to be a deal.
This situation's weird for me because Yakuza has been such a PlayStation franchise, dating all the way back to PlayStation
They got
2.
several on Game Pass though, Huber.
Several on get lately. Xbox
Yeah.
has had a huge push with Yakuza, with Zero and all that, of course. But this is such a PlayStation franchise for me. I know it's like I say the more the better. Put it on everything. Put it on PC. Put it on Xbox. Put it on PlayStation.
is.
Everything. But the reason it's a little weird for me is the excluding people that have been attached to it since the beginning. Like, again, I have all the Yakuzas on PlayStation 2,
Sure.
PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4, and now I'm kind of getting left out in the cold. So that kind of hurts.
You know who's also getting left out in the cold? PS4 save files for Yakuza 7. Good news is
Yeah.
Yakuza 7 game discs will upgrade to PS5, so you can get the PS5 version. Your save files will not carry over, though. So that's an interesting situation to be in. If you would care to play the game totally from the beginning again on a new console, but already played the original version, it's a strange... I don't know what customer that is, but if that customer is you, be careful.
I will give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Microsoft, though. These are the types of moves that need to be made.
Well,
honestly, as
yeah.
you know, putting my brand manager hat on here,
Yeah.
buying Bethesda, getting these exclusive deals with fan favorite huge franchises, like
Right.
these are the types of moves that help you win console wars, whatever you want to call them. It's a good move on Microsoft's part. I'll give
The
them that.
conversation around this gave me a heart attack because I believe it was Imran Khan suggested, he's like, what about Avengers? And I was like, I mean, they have
Spider-Man?
to. No, save file, dude.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What?
that-
Right.
What if they announced for the next version? Oh, we tried, but I'd be like, I'm not playing this game anymore.
Yeah,
Officially,
then I'd
there's
be
no
done. I'd be
way
done.
I'm
I'd be done.
leveling cap again.
No,
Like,
I'd be done.
And
I'd be out.
I cannot wait. This thing is, my PS4 Pro is dying playing this game. It is literally whimpering. It is pleading
Need
to
the
me
next gen version.
for a quick death. Trying to hustle in the menu. I'm literally just going through like Cap's inventory. My PS4 is like, so it just makes me think like everybody's got that one game where they're like, oh, please let stuff carry over. We'll see. Chromecast with Google TV won't support Stadia until 2021.
This is hilarious.
All these weird
What?
things that won't work. Google makes
Even
thing
they
that
don't care
then
about
Google makes
Stadia.
other thing that the Google thing won't work on the Google thing. But that's tech, baby. What a weird year of stuff not working on things and not going to happen later. And I'm sure this next gen will go smoothly. I'm sure we'll all get
Yeah,
our
everyone will be
consoles
fine.
the day they promised, and they'll all work. Apex Legends crossplay feature goes into beta next week for Apex Legends fans. So if you dropped out, we're waiting for that. WoW Shadowlands, as Huber hinted, delayed to later in the year. We don't have a date, do we? They just said later. Originally due October 27th, end of this month. Not happening.
The pre-patch is still coming out on the 13th,
Right.
which is a big deal. I think
So
it's the
that's,
13th.
that has been
That's
stuck
what you
on
and
there.
Damiani are streaming.
Yeah, and Brad as
Makes
well.
sense.
Yeah, so the pre-patch is gonna transform World of Warcraft humongously. Like the game is gonna look so different in a couple weeks. So that's exciting still.
And
Interesting.
Pre-patch.
earth-shattering. Big news. But there's only so much time on the podcast each week. Zynga shutting down Farmville after 11 years.
Farmville.
Shutting it down. Make sure to let your moms know, because otherwise, how would they know? You know what I'm like? Is that the thing?
Right.
We know because I read the gaming
man.
websites. Is Facebook going to say something? You know what I mean? Like, is that you're just going to log in one day and boom, gone? Like, I feel bad. People might not be on the top of that news, but life must go on. It is time.
Maybe they'll announce Farmville 6 or whatever they're on.
I believe they're
Farmville
on
on
Farmvilles, but
Stadia.
there you go. But not on Chromecast. It's time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
That was for you, Blood. Right up on the mic.
Nice. This is from Smorf, Borf, and Neff. Now, I remember...
Wow.
Yeah, no, I remember a name like this. I remember the Neff. And I think I said that sounded like a kid show, like with puppets and stuff. I think it was upgraded to Smorf Borf. I don't think it was Smorf Borf before, but correct me if I'm wrong. But definitely, I just any
Really
opportunity
fun
to say that. Smorf
It gave
Borf.
me a visual of like 3 little characters.
Smorf, Borf, and Neff.
Borf, and Neff.
Yeah, well, there's no comma though. It's just I think Smorf Borf is one. I'm Smorf Borf. I'm Neff.
Oh.
And then the adventures. Hello, allies. With all the division and disaster in the world right now, I need to control some negative things in my life and put them to rest. I need the help of the allies to reconcile something between my husband and I. So this is Smorf, Borf, and Neff going at it. This is an argument that has dogged our relationship from the beginning. Which is better, Mario Kart or Diddy Kong Racing?
Ooh.
Mario
I'm
Kart.
assuming Mario Kart, like 64. I'm assuming because they were both on 64. It's not like the Mario Kart franchise versus this 164 game, right?
I love Diddy Kong Racing, but Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah, ain't no Diddy Kong Racing 8 selling top 10 every month on the damn MPDs.
It's Mario Kart. Diddy Kong Racing rules though, and that is
I'll give the
that is a
just
game
myself to Diddy Kong.
so ready to come back.
Yeah, he was flying.
How is
man.
that not back yet?
That gave me like those Pilot Wing vibes. I'm always hungry for that. Flying up and down your little plane that you had. That was great.
One of the
the
few
next
games
Mario
my
Kart
brother
was a combo?
100%ed. Ooh, Mario Cross Diddy.
Mario and Diddy Kart Racing.
That'd be sweet.
But sadly, 3-1. One of you loses. I wish I knew who. They're scared to say.
Yeah, was it Smorf? Did we just help out Smorf, Borf, or Neff?
No, 1 is Smorf Borf new, 2 who won. We want to know. Chris Collinson, hello allies, long time, first time. A couple weeks ago, Mr. Huber declared Breath of the Wild, quote, the easiest 10 out of 10 of all time, despite
So easy?
ranking it 6th in his personal Goaty list back in 2017. Love you, Huber. This got me thinking.
There's a separate. Something can be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece,
Right.
but you can still like something more than a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Keep
I could
it-
like this 7 more than a 10, but I can
Okay.
still recognize the 10.
Keep that sentiment, Huber. It's going to
Likewise,
help you.
the Hall of Greats or EZ-est's Game of the Year could easily go to a 4
Yeah,
to a 3 out of 10 game.
easily if we
You
love
know? It's happened before with Last
Yeah,
Guardian.
okay, all right.
Oh
Well,
my
you'll
gosh.
get your chance. You'll get your chance. It got me thinking. What is the EZ-est 10 out of 10 that EZ Allies has ever awarded? You have been given 8 5-star or 10 out of 10 reviews, which fits nicely into a knockout tournament. Here are the contenders. Nominated by Mr. Huber, we have Uncharted 4 and God of War by Mr. Damiani, Super Mario Odyssey and Shadow of the Colossus remake, by Mr. Bloodworth, The Last Guardian, by Mr. Jones, Red Dead Redemption 2, and by Mr. Moore, Persona 5 and Half-Life Alyx. Mr. Bradley Ellis is yet to review a game he deems truly worthy of upholding his honor and reputation. Now we just give him the bad games.
Yeah, we just give him all the bad
We
games.
just, yoink. Yeah. It wasn't like Brad wanted to review all of those, or like was like, no, get your God of War away from me.
I haven't
only
played
given 8?
Alex, so that's a hard one.
Yeah, I'm good, Alex.
Seeded by Metacritic score, and if by level, by user score. Here we go. So he seeded them for us. So here we go. We're figuring this out. What are the winners?
For me, am I allowed to?
Well, no, these are going
He's
head to
gonna-
head.
Okay.
He's
Literally,
going to show us the
pulled this out.
head-to-heads now.
Okay.
Our first seed, Super Mario Odyssey versus The Last Guardian.
Odyssey by a
Odyssey
thousand
by a
miles.
billion
Okay.
galaxies.
By a
Blood agrees. There we go.
infinity galaxy miles.
Oh boy, I don't want to get burnt on this. Please, Red Dead Redemption 2 versus Shadow of the Colossus remake. Please.
Red Dead
a brand new
2.
script. Please.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Red Dead 2
man.
gets way too
I'd say
much
Shadow.
heat.
I'd say Shadow.
It gets too much heat, Jones. I'm with you,
Here's
man.
dude,
Earlier-
here's the thing, Huber, Red Dead Redemption 2, it's a good game. It's a good game.
Yeah,
Shadow of the Colossus is like a god tier legendary
it is.
game.
It is, and that remake is perfect.
Yeah.
God of War or Uncharted 4?
Wait, are we settled on the last one?
I'll give it to Shadow. I'll change
Okay.
my vote. All right, I'll be the big boy. Okay. Okay.
Proud of you, Jones.
Got to take them back to the back seat every time with my Red Dead 2.
Oh.
Rockstar making
It's a good
those
game,
making
Joe.
those lowball games, making those games for us, enthusiasts.
If Chapter 5 wasn't in there, maybe it would have taken it.
We'll make a video. God of War versus Uncharted 4.
God of War.
I'm going with God of War.
God of War.
I
agree.
God of War.
Yeah.
Half-Life Alex versus Persona 5 I
Persona
would
5
give
is
it.
one of my favorite games
I'd-
ever made.
I don't know.
I haven't finished either, so I'm actually
Yeah.
a good contender to do this. I'll give it to Persona 5. I just think there's
I would edge toward Alex, but they're both so
it's
good.
so unique and wonderful.
I could see Alex maybe winning me over, but I don't have the experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta put the.
I
put
played
the
a few hours of it,
goggles
and
on.
then I had to give the index to Jones.
Okay, so now we have. I gotta track this in real time.
My
So-
top two, I think, are going head to head. This will be tough.
Okay, Super Mario Odyssey or Persona 5?
Oh,
Odyssey.
Mario Odyssey.
Shadow of the Colossus or God of War?
God of War.
God of War.
Shadow of the Colossus.
I vote God of War, so God of War wins that one. So,
Oof.
the finale, Super Mario Odyssey or God of War?
Those are my top two. That's how it should be. This is tough. We need
I'd go with
Damiani here to
Odyssey
say
on
what he
that.
thought. I will say Odyssey is the only Mario game. To me, Odyssey's a 10. Easy 10, like all the mainline Marios and Zeldas. Straight up. Don't at me. But I will say,
3D world humor.
love 3D World, dude.
On the
Can
Wii-
you play
the Wii U
freaking?
one.
Can you play
What's the
four-player
one I
Mario
hate?
with anyone else? It's so cool.
Which the one that sucks? Whatever.
Odyssey, it didn't give me that completionist drive, you know? Like once I finished it all, it's the Mario that I wanted to complete the least in a way, the 100% optional stuff.
Sure.
I don't think
Sure.
it was as strong as other entries in the series.
I think, to me, there was a strong post game, but I think there was just so much optional that I don't know, like almost like like Breath of the Wild with the Korok seeds, how they kind of make fun of you if you get all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like that. It's just like we're just gonna put a lot of stuff out there so that you can discover things just by experimenting.
True, yeah. That's good.
Ian, did you
You're
go Odyssey
not
as well?
meant
No.
to get all that crap.
I'm trying to decide. Both of these games, I didn't want to put either of them down. Like I never
Right.
felt like my time was being wasted at all
Sure.
with either of these, and like that for me is big. They're just so different.
So different.
They're like they're both perfect at what they're
Yeah.
trying to do. I think I might in this case give the edge to God of War just for revolutionizing something and for making me someone who had written off God of War
Yeah.
as a style of game I didn't like and as just kind of gross, to make me care about it and love it.
Sure.
That's huge.
Yeah,
So I'd
these
go God
both
of
of these
War.
games were my return to the franchise after a gap, after a sizable gap of me just not.
Odyssey made me cry.
invested.
There's a thing in New Donk City, like that song, I was like crying tears of joy.
Yes.
I would give it to Odyssey actually, because I don't have a solitary note for Odyssey. Everything I did with Odyssey was like there's some
Perfect
stuff in
game.
God of War that I
are
was
both,
critical
like,
of.
creme de
So,
la creme.
but we're tied. So we have two for at the end of the day.
It's perfect.
2 for Odyssey. I think that's the way it
Heck
should
yeah.
be, because it's just fun narrowing
What
it down to
matters
just
is
those
Last
two.
Guardian went
Yeah.
down.
That's fun.
Don't know what
Are they
Drake
just
gave
gonna do
that.
one take again in the next God of War? That gimmick won't have.
I
I
hope
don't want to
so,
say
dude.
gimmick. That's harsh. But that narrative
Stellar
technique,
creative choice.
that
Hey, man.
stellar creative choice,
No load times, baby.
won't
Yeah, no,
won't
they're gonna-
mean as much to the next time around.
They'll stretch it.
I honestly think that Ragnarok is going to just feel like a like it won't. How some games feel like a 2 and some games
Right.
feel like a continuation.
Yeah.
I honestly think unless they do like a time jump or something, it's just gonna feel like,
Just more but bigger. And
previously
better.
on, and then
Yeah.
like all of a sudden the door opens and both of them are just like, huh?
Speaking of 2s,
Dude, that door opening. Shit.
that door. Good doors in God of War, bad doors in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes. Bad.
From
Very true. Very true.
low
that
risk.
door. Wait, what game were we talking about? From Brandon K. Gann, recently Left 4 Dead 2 had a major update on Steam that had major improvements, from a new campaign to new dialogue that wasn't used at release, and several technical upgrades. And all this was done by community members with no significant involvement by Valve.
Yeah, we got to. That's why I was saying we got to stream this little bastard.
This had me wondering, and I want to ask you: can you think of any other examples
Huge.
where a community stayed with a game long after a developer no longer supported it, making new content and keeping it alive solely off of the passion of its players? What games that are no longer active do you wish received this treatment? Thanks for taking my submission. If you do, and stay easy, fellow allies. So games that weren't that popular, primarily PC, I'm guessing mostly.
Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines.
Like all the people that mod stuff to keep them working and updated. Like Bloodlines is a great example. Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition is just like,
dude, Jedi Academy.
Whoa, yeah,
man, the Jedi Academy mods are like. I discovered just because of trailers, because I would just see these 5-minute epic, just like Anakin and Obi-Wan like on Mustafar. I'm like, of course I want this. This is amazing. It's like one of those things where it wasn't just like, oh, this is a good idea. It's like, if this was a trailer from LucasArts, I would buy this game. Like, this looks incredible. Yeah. I'm just a PC dummy who doesn't, use mods.
Just this morning shared a trailer of an open world Sims mod, Jones.
Whoa.
That looked pretty impressive, actually. It's got like a heartfelt story. The trailer is hilarious. It takes such a like breakneck turn. It's like super emotional in the first half, and then it cuts to the like, like explorable airports, a mall, blah, 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 So that was pretty funny. But yeah, I was like, whoa.
I can't think of it right now, but I know there's been games out there that have had fan servers where an online game will shut down and then fans will keep it alive somehow. I just can't think.
Battlefield 2 is the one that comes to my mind.
Dude, Battlefield freaking 2, man.
I have a friend that was like, that was it. That was the game he plays.
Dude, go see his camera.
Oh my god.
It didn't matter. Like,
dude, I want to play Battlefield 2 right now.
How bad of a PC he had, whatever. He was just always playing Battlefield 2, and so when they killed those servers, it was a huge deal.
Yeah. Battlefield 2 was great. The helicopters,
Mist Online, they kept going for a long time like that.
I think it was my first real gaming helicopter, Huber. I think Battlefield 2 was the first time I was in a flying vehicle that someone else was piloting. That had never happened before.
Whoa.
It was just a brand new thing. Love that.
So cool.
A last one, a very poignant post, if I will. He did not submit it for this, but this could easily be part of the silver lining. Isagani Bikwidia. Love and respect from a doctor in Asia. Hello, allies. I am a first-time patron, but a long-time fan. On one of your shows, I remember Ian wanting to interview a doctor friend and ask about life in this pandemic, but Kyle at the time said that they must be very busy. Well, I'm a doctor here in Asia, and my country is one of the most devastated by the disease. Unfortunately, last August, I was one of the many doctors at our hospital who were infected while caring for our patients who were confirmed cases. I had to undergo a mandatory medical 14-day solitary quarantine. My case was considered a mild case, and thank God I experienced no severe symptoms. Before I got infected, I imagined myself taking the solitary quarantine in a breeze. What gamer doesn't like a 14-day rest with many backlogs to burn? But as the days go by, I realized how devastating this must be to people who are not used to being alone, or to people that absolutely need to go outside either for work or social exercises, or for their own essential reasons. I grew lonely, but not to the point of clinical depression. I have to thank my family and friends for that, as they keep my mental health in check. I also have to thank Easy Allies for being there like my own virtual support group of like-minded guys talking about games. It's like being outside watching my real friends talk with just me being a silent one in the background. Thank you, Easy Allies. I just have one last message. To all of the other allies who are infected, you are not alone. Reach out to family, reach out to friends, reach out to random strangers on the internet. We are in this together. Keep the faith. Dr. Isagani Sacrosanct Pudia. Thank you for that.
Respect.
Yeah.
Again, it seems like a message that is just everywhere you look right now. So, apologies to bring that into the podcast. But I think that kind of awareness is something that's a new sense of awareness, I think, is happening to all of us, whatever corner of the world we are in, whatever we are dealing with, being in our homes. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Time for bets. Mm-hmm. Next week's bet. This is a weird one, folks. I'm going to explain this as best I can. This is definitely my weirdest bet that I've issued. I'm proud of it, though.
I like this
from taking over as podcast moderator, because I'm looking at next week's games. There's not a lot of bettable stuff I saw in there, but then I see Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix, and I'm like, gotta make something work. Here's the bet, folks. Nickelodeon Kart Racers Grand Prix 2 Grand Prix launches on October 6th. While recording next week's podcast, I'm going to go to Twitch. I'm going to click on the top viewed Twitch stream for Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2. I'm going to either watch whatever racer they are playing at the time or wait for them to start a race and pick a racer. When they do, that racer will correspond to any one of the new shows or any one of the shows from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, SpongeBob, yada yada. All of us are going to bet a year. Whoever is the closest to the year the show launched of the character I'm looking at, that person wins. So, long story short, if I go to Twitch, if I boot up this game, it's SpongeBob. SpongeBob came out in 1991. Whoever has the year the closest
Did not.
1990. What was it? 1996? What was it? Sorry.
Let's check.
Yeah, let's check.
Let's check because it was not 91. There's no way.
99. Sorry, I think it was 99.
Okay.
97 was the pilot. 99 is when it came out.
1999, yeah.
So whoever has the
But
year closest to
Rugrats
99.
was more like 91.
No, Rugrats was
Yeah.
definitely earlier. Rugrats, I think, next to Ren and Stimpy is the oldest stuff on there. Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, Hey Arnold, Cat Dog, SpongeBob SquarePants, Invader Zim, Danny Phantom, Avatar, Korra, TMNT, Loud House, which is the only name I don't recognize on here, and JoJo Siwa is one of the characters that is a real person, a human being that is a host on Nickelodeon that has appeared in various reality shows. JoJo joined Nickelodeon in 2017, so that is the year I will consider for that, the year that quote-unquote show went live.
Rugrats was 91.
Oh, okay, so maybe that was it. That was where I got confused. Clearly.
Yeah.
Blood. Ian, what year?
I said 1997, Jones.
Oh, it's a good year. It's a good year. Michael Huber, what year?
As Leon S. Kennedy once said, 1998.
Ooh. Bloodworth, what are you picking?
I tried to hit the middle there. One with that Dreamcast year,
Damn
99.
it.
Oh, no.
I'm
I
sandwiched.
hope you didn't go under me. Don't go under me.
No, yeah, I wish I went under the U. I did the same thing. So we'll get 2.
Oh,
We'll get 2 points if we get it. If it's
99.
if it is
Or above.
anyone close to
Oh.
that, we're just hungry for SpongeBob, man.
Man, good grouping.
If it's SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, or Sandy, we're set. Made in the shade. Are we made in the
Let's go,
shade this
Tommy
week?
Pickles.
I don't know. Let's check. Last week's bet, Mafia Definitive Edition, launched the day after we recorded last week. I've played it. It's awesome. We just
It is.
shout out. We just did an impressions video that you can check out with Brad and Huber and myself. I wanted to know by now, by right this very moment, how many Steam user reviews would it have? I bet 4,000. Bloodworth bet 400. Just took one of those zeros away. Damiani bet 3,500, just under me, and Brad Ellis bet 1,000. I'm not going to check right now. Don't need to, because before I checked this podcast, it was at 8,564, giving me the win.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jones.
Feeling
Score
good.
those points.
Well, I was inspired by you, Huber, because you had very strong opinions about Mafia 2 Definitive Edition. So I was curious how many people were
People are gonna-
think good things, bad things,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, we liked it. I wonder how sentiment is across the board. Didn't read any of
Seems
those reviews,
solid.
just check the number. But that does bring our scores to Jovial Penguins, 14.
I could really get into this mayor stuff. It's not about power. It's about reaching out to people, touching people, groping people.
Astonished Scorpions, 9. Ah! There's a very real chance that there's not enough weeks left in this year. I have not checked to win
Oh,
this,
for you to
but
win?
I don't know. A part of me is tempted to just run it out.
Get 2 points
to just,
next week.
To just see how
Magic
this goes.
number.
Yeah, hey. That's the optimism that I need right now. That's good. And we got the high. So if it's in the 21st century, that show, then we got it. 2 points for
I'd say you got a good
2
shot.
points for those Scorpions. Oh yeah. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. That is where
I
you can
gotta,
go.
I gotta. Before you get started, we have gotten a note that this is getting a little long and rambly. So before we get long and rambly,
About what?
keep it tight. The Patreon pitch. Just tell people
Oh, we got
what
notes?
they need to know.
Keep it tight, says Bloodworth.
Where'd you get these notes?
But now
Blood?
the notes
Where'd you get
to
these
keep
notes?
it
What are these
tight are
Twitter
making
notes?
it
Are these
longer?
Patreon
No,
notes?
it's
What are
from
these
Cup of
personal?
Jones for next week.
Oh, okay. Did I take too long?
Spoilers.
I've also gotten notes on Cup of Jones that I talk about the same thing every week, that I don't talk about different goes. Apology. I'll write a thing. Then it'll be the same TRT. That's a skill I've definitely developed reading VO all these years. It's like it's the same. You put my VO on top of each other. It is the same read every time. So yeah, great. I guess Patreon there. You go. You can support us. It's cool. We got an event coming up the later of the month I was going to get into, but I mean, that would take time.
Blood won't allow us to talk about Patreon.
don't want to get into
party.
that. We have a tier called Shout Out tier that I guess we should probably get to. We got some people there. Gave us a pretty sizable amount of money that we greatly appreciate. Helped operating.
Well, is that okay?
Exist
Is that
here
all right?
on Patreon. Well, Blood doesn't know. We got to check with Cup of Jones. It's a weekly thing. See, I got to check with Cup of Jones next week, and then I got to come back to the podcast. Speaking of Cup of Jones, for just $1, you can get exclusive access to Cup of Jones, along with all of our exclusive shows, exclusive series that we have done, spoiler modes, where we talk all sorts of spoilery stuff. Several of those we just put up. More of those coming later in October. But the shout out tier is at the very top. These are people that are our highest tier on Patreon, and there are 3 of them, and I would like to shout them out. And to do so, I'm going to be helped by Ian Hank, who is, I don't know, picking. You good? You're going first.
No, I was just falling asleep because I was taking so damn long.
You're going first. I'm going after you. Blood's going after me. Huber's going last. As quiet. Oh, geez, I'm so nervous. He's just licking the microphone. Here we go. Shout out to Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Thanos, and Greg the Dark Knight Kettering.
Shout
out.
Shout out.
That almost made my hair stand up in my arm. That was beautiful.
Well, ASMR.
I get to end this podcast. Yeehaw! I get to promote any EZ-est video I'd like to promote. I got one. I get the final word on anything I've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped in my head. Got one of those too. And I get to sign off with my trademark sign off. I'm pumped. I'll give you a video. We just announced the patron party. See, here's where I get to do it. This is an event that we are having the week of Monday, October 19th. Starting on Monday, October 19th, we will have a bunch of new premieres of stuff. We got some new shows that we're going to premiere. A bunch might be too much. More than one. We have
don't get hopes up too much.
New rewards. I just won. I'm so pumped up right now from winning a bet.
This is like a half.
We have bonus videos.
We do have and we also have some additional bonus videos going up that week. We're gonna have a fun new bonus reward tiers for various tiers on Patreon. So all of these people that are there, you
bonuses
might
existing
get a little something.
tiers.
2 existing tiers, not added.
They're not
tiers.
bonus tiers.
Bonus to the tiers that we already have available on Patreon. And on Saturday, October 24th, we will have you could also just watch the video to get all this information too. But on noon Pacific time on Saturday, October 24th, 8-hour live stream, we'll be wrapping all of this stuff up. So this should be a very fun week. That is a week done to thank all of our patrons. Thank you to everybody that's getting early access on this, but thank you to everybody that listens to the podcast as well. And my final word, talk about final, I'm moving, baby. This is it. This is my last podcast in this garage. Bye. I will probably not be on the podcast next week. Next week will be moderated by Daniel Bloodworth. The week after that, I will be in a weirdo house that I'm renting for a month before I move into another house. And then hopefully within minutes of me moving into that house, I'll be able to set up and do EZ-Ally's work when I get into a new office. But I'm going to have a whole background that I'll definitely care much more than just throwing dual shocks in the background and, just like, that's a napkin. Right there, that's a napkin. I'll take a little more care with my background in my new space. But yeah, big change is coming. Good luck with the podcast next week's Blood. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Farmville on Stadia.
It's really had a big Genshin